Hi everybody, another quick behind the scenes video. By everybody I mean all three of you that watch these behind the scenes videos. The only reason I'm making these is because when I first started recording drums and videoing about a year ago, I would have found these types of videos useful, so hopefully they're useful for some of you too. But big news this week. You can see I'm no longer in a barn. My drum studio has moved along with my family. We moved to a new home and I'm just getting the drums set up in the studio. I actually have a room in the house this time, so I'm pretty stoked about that. Yeah, so I'm excited to get the new studio up and running and start recording again. But I did manage to record a song last week as we were packing up and moving from the old house. I snuck in and recorded Trivium In Waves. And it's a real hard and heavy song, and I just had a lot of fun doing it. And it's out of my comfort zone too, and that's why I chose it. Because my experience with metal before was mostly with Rush and Tool. And the double bass work on this Trivium is really fast and over long periods of time, and that's not something that I was so used to. Neil Peart and Danny Carey play a more subtle and nuanced approach to double bass work. So stuff like this was new to me. And it really strangely worked the front of my legs, the shins. Those muscles started killing me. So I really had to work up my endurance in those muscles. I thought it would be more calves, but not so much for this type of double bass work. So I just wanted to go through a few things about this recording that were new to me and kind of fun, and take you through those as well. Stick tricks. I don't usually use those. I learned them, when I first started drumming back in the 80s and haven't used them much since. But this song just presented a ton of opportunities for stick tricks. I realized that when I was practicing it. I just started doing them for fun. And I thought I would go against my modest nature and put them into this video. And I had a lot of fun with those too. So I won't be using stick tricks in every video, but this one I thought I would make an exception. Another new thing I did on this recording was the double stroke fill, where I alternated between the snare and the tom, like this. That was a lot of fun to learn, and of course I learned that from Cobus. I had to give a shout out to him. I had learned double strokes on individual drums before, like just on the snare, but I had never alternated between two different drums, the tom and the snare in this case, on the double stroke. So that was a lot of fun to learn. And the last thing I did that was new, I think it's the last thing on this recording, but new to me anyway, and I got the idea from the band Breakdown of Sanity. Their drummer has this really cool effect on one of his floor toms, where every time he hits the floor tom, it just overpowers everything in the song. It sounds like a bomb went off. So I wanted to incorporate that into this Trivium song, and I really messed around with it a lot until I got that desired effect. And I only played it twice, and I only hit that tom twice in the song. This is one of the times. So to get that effect, I actually had to sample my floor tom, my own floor tom. I had to sample it with the acoustic sound of the floor tom. I didn't use electronic samples or anything. But I had to record it in isolation away from the rest of the drum set, because what was happening when I was doing a live recording is that I had a lot of ambient noise from the cymbals and the snare that were bleeding into that tom, and when I tried to really bring that tom out, then it also brought up the other effects, the snare and the sizzles from the cymbals, and it just sounded bad. So to get the clean tom sound, I actually recorded the tom separately, and I've got some footage of that. So we want the batter side to be a little bit higher than the tone of the resonant side, so we get that big boomy sound that drops in tone from higher to lower. Okay, so I'm going to go real overboard on recording just this one tom and use 5 mics to record it, some samples on it. So I've got 2 mics you can see here on the batter head. One is the Audix D2 and the second is a Shure SM57. The D2 is going to pick up more of the mids and lows, and the SM57 is going to pick up some more of the highs. And then one mic on the resonant head, the Audix D4. And this one's going to pick up that nice low end. It's a lower mic, lower frequency mic than the D2. And I put it on the resonant head because the resonant head's tuned lower. So that's 3 mics, and then I'm also recording with the 2 overhead mics. And that's going to kind of round out the tone of the drum. So you can tell that's just what I wanted, that big, boomy, long sustain. And I bounced all of these 5 tracks to a single track and then just dropped that on top of the actual live recording of that. This one here is the live recording, and I'll play that by itself. And you can tell that that's got some cymbals behind it. And that's why I couldn't bring it out like I wanted to, because when I increased the volume, increased the compression, and everything I needed to make it more overpowering, then the cymbals came out just as loud, and it just didn't sound right. So here, these 2 are the same track. It's the studio sampled tom, and I just dropped that in exactly the same place. And here's how that sounds. Quite a bit of difference there. This might look funny, this tom just sitting out there by itself. That was the live recording, but I used a technique in Logic called strip silence, and it basically removes all the silent parts from the recording. So this one I just highlighted as the resonant snare head. I didn't apply this technique, but if I were, I would hit Control-X, that's the shortcut in Logic, and this brings up the strip silence window. And basically you just set the threshold here, and anything below that volume threshold gets stripped. That's a great technique on toms. You can see I don't use it on the snares or the kick drum. But on the toms, it's a great technique because they're hit less frequently. It's basically like a gated effect. And it just removes all the transient sounds, so it cleans up your mix a lot. You know, if all the toms are picking up all the cymbals, it really muddies up the mix. Well, that should do it for this video. It wasn't so quick after all. There are quite a few things that I did behind the scenes that I wanted to share. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.